All right, welcome back to Emlyn in the Mix podcast and live on YouTube. We are currently up to episode 7 of season 2, and we've got a very exciting update here from Ableton Live. It's all the rage, it's all the talk this week. Very exciting indeed, and we're going to be looking at that today. We're dedicating, basically dedicating the podcast in the mix to this actual. We're dedicating the podcast to this actual update. We just had a bit of crazy delay going there from YouTube, but that's not happening anymore. Anyway, let's get stuck straight into the podcast today because obviously there's a lot to cover with this update. And yeah, it is, if you're an Ableton Live user, this is a super exciting update. So one thing for me when I updated at first, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks exactly the same. What is actually new? Because on the surface, nothing has really changed in terms of visual or looks. And I guess that's probably a good thing, because if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So Ableton Live essentially looks exactly the same. Of course, there's skins and stuff where you can change the appearance. But, you know, it's never been about the appearance with Ableton Live. It's what's under the hood that is actually important. And from what you're going to see today, they've done some major changes. And can I just literally make a quick note here about the CPU usage seems to have been dramatically improved upon, which is really nice to see. This is just from my own observation. The CPU seems to barely go above 2%, even with some of these audio effects that we're going to be looking at today in instruments. It's just amazing. I've even got the Korg ARP Odyssey loaded on a MIDI track at the moment, and it's literally barely using 1 or 2% of the CPU. So massive, hands down improvement there from the team at Ableton Live with getting that all, whatever they've done under the hood, they've done a fantastic job. So in today's video, we're basically, or in today's podcast as well, we're basically just going to cover off some of the new audio instruments. What you're going to gather from this video today is that Ableton Live has essentially done a lot of improvements obviously on the back end, but they've really heavily focused on improving on the MIDI functionality, incorporating MPE, which is essentially going to be the future of MIDI at this stage, which stands for MIDI polyphonic expression. It just means more depth in the MIDI communication from your MIDI controller to Ableton Live. So we're not going to go in depth on that in this video today. I more just want to look at some of the new instruments and new effects. More than new effects, actually, audio effects today in today's video. So let's kick things off with what is actually new in Ableton Live 11. So first up, we have this hybrid reverb. Now, hybrid reverb is an audio effect that allows blending and convolution reverb with a number of reverb algorithms. So besides providing a selection of impulse responses, the device allows dragging any audio file into the device to be used for convolution processing. So that's pretty cool. Like, you could literally, if you have your sample folder or your sample library collection, you can literally just drag and drop into this hybrid reverb, and it will use that wave file to create a impulse response or reverb to whatever you're got the reverb inserted on. So an algorithmic section contains several reverb modes, each providing a different set of parameters and sonic properties: dark hole, prism, quartz, shimmer, and tides. And the convolution and algorithmic sections can be routed either in series or parallel, and their volume relationship can be continuously adjusted via blend control. And there's also an EQ tab where you can carve out the EQ and do that sort of thing. So I've got a little beat here. Let's pull up the hybrid reverb here. All right, awesome. Make sure it's selected on the right track. So here it is here. Let's get a little beat going. So it's already got the hybrid reverb on it. So you can see straight away we've got the EQ, which is really nice. I'll see if I can make this bigger for you if you're watching on YouTube. Alright, so we can EQ out the reverb completely from the low frequencies. So you should be able to hear that nice on the podcast there. So move that aside there. So put me up there so you can actually see what I'm doing. Now for some reason I can't seem to make this bigger. You used to be able to do that in Ableton Live 10. It might be a different... Alright, let's go through some of the different presets we have here. Convolution reverb, obviously it's going to be huge. Whoa, okay, now we're doing too much cinematic. I like the idea of being able to just bring in your own samples to get a different impulse response. Awesome. Alright, so that gives you an idea of what's been updated there with the hybrid reverb, being able to do that, which is very nice indeed. Alright, the next one's really exciting. This is the Spectral Resonator. So Spectral Resonator is based on spectral processing and uses spectral resonance and pitched overtones to add tonal character to any audio source. So MIDI sidechain parameters allow processing any material in key with its surrounding musical elements. And Spectral Resonator can be played polyphonically in MIDI mode with up to 16 voices. So Spectral Resonator offers several spectral processing types on the input signal that determines how the partials are modulated. None applies to modulation. Chorus applies triangle wave modulation at different frequencies for every partial. Wonder ramps to random levels at random intervals, and Granular randomly triggers exponential envelopes. So in the display, the spectrogram shows how the frequencies in the dry and wet signal behave over time, and the dry-wet control changes the visibility of the dry-wet signal. So let's take a quick look at this. And I have to say, and that's why I wanted to feature these on the podcast, these audio devices are simply just so much fun. So let's just get rid of the hybrid reverb there, and let's get the Spectral Resonator up. And I'll put a different beat on for us just to mix things up a bit. So you can see it working down there. And it already sounds crazy, right? So if I turn that off, you'll just hear I've just got a pretty standard normal beat. Let's have a little mess around with this. Get some really crazy effects. So obviously this Spectral Resonator is a lot of fun. As you can see, it sounds really fun. We'll go through Chorus and Wonder and Granular in a moment, but what I just wanted to quickly say was this would be awesome on vocals as well, and synth lines, or whatever you want to put it on. It's going to have a magical effect, as you can hear. We'll just go through some of these other settings here that we have. Chorus, that's nice. That's Wonder, and then Granular. So Granular is sort of giving a bit of a bit crusher effect. That is super fun, super interesting sounding audio effect going on there. You can also control it via MIDI. So if we have... Let's see if we can get this rolling here. Might help if I turn the Korg off, hang on. Wow. No, I'm getting feedback here turning that up. But that is interesting. That is really interesting. Anyway guys, that's your Spectral Resonator. Amazing audio effect we've got going on there. Just going to increase my increments of time. We'll take that off there. And let's move on to the next audio effect or audio device. So Spectral Time combines time freezing and spectral delay effects in a single inspiring device. The freeze and delay effects can be used together or independently, allowing for a wide range of possibilities, such as sustaining any sound infinitely or combining delays with time-synced fade transitions. The freeze effects has 2 modes. So it's got manual freezes the audio via the freeze button. Retrigger freezes the audio automatically on every onset or at regular intervals. So in addition to time and feedback parameters, the delay effects provides the following controls. Shifts the frequency of the delayed signal. Tilt skews the delay times for different frequencies. Spray distributes the delay time for different frequencies within the given time range. Mask limits the effect of the tilt and spray controls to lower or higher frequencies, and stereo adjusts the stereo width of tilt and spray. So we're going to have to find out, if you don't know what tilt and spray actually sounds like, let's check out what that actually sounds like. So in the display, the spectrogram shows how the frequencies in the dry and wet signal behave over time. So it's much like the spectral time, which we just looked at before. So, spectral resonator. So now let's look at spectral time here. We'll get a different beat for us. What about this hip hop beat here? Spectral time. So you can hear obviously there as I turn up the feedback, we're getting a nice long decay there as well. If we hit freeze, you'll hear you get the freeze on the reverb. So let's try that. You should be able to hear spray and tilt. Let's pull up a bit of that. Whoa. So you can hear when I freeze that, you're getting a really insane sort of decay. Mask it. That is so sick. That is actually so sick. I really love that freeze. That is just, wow. There is a lot going on here. It's even still going. I got so much feedback on. We'll turn our feedback down. But yeah, there you go. So that's Spectral Time, and that is one phenomenal little audio effect. I really love that. All right, let's move on to our next little audio effect that has been updated in Ableton Live 11, which is the Chorus Ensemble. Now has a few different modes. So you've got Chorus Ensemble is the chorus effect, obviously now with 3 different effect modes. So you got classic mode, which is the thickening chorus effect and high pass filter, allowing removing the chorus signal from low frequencies. The width of the chorus signal can be adjusted, and this is useful for complex mixing tasks. The feedback signal can be inverted, which results in a hollow sound when combined with high feedback values. And then ensemble mode is based on the shares control with the classic mode. It shares control with the classic mode while adding a third phase shifted delay line for a thicker chorus sound. And then there's vibrato mode, which applies stronger modulation than a chorus to create pitch variation, and the shape of the modulation waveform can morph seamlessly from a sine to a triangle and can be used to create well-known police siren sounds. Okay, so cool. And also global controls allow setting the modulation rate and amount, output gain, and harmonic saturation via the warmth parameter. All right, cool. So let's pull in the chorus ensemble. Have a quick listen to that. I haven't actually recorded in a little MIDI tune, which would be nice, but that's fine. We'll just play with the beats for now. So chorus ensemble, in it goes. And what do we got here? Got a bit of a trap beat. We'll just turn our tempo down. All right, so the chorus ensemble's already applied. Obviously increasing that, you're gonna hear it. Turn it off, there it is off. Get it on. Vibrato is obviously going to give you some pretty wild. Yeah, I don't think this doing a beat's going to give it justice, just in terms of showing off how the chorus ensemble actually works. So what I might do is I'll just chuck this over to my MIDI track here and excuse the playing. We're going to play a little bit of keys here and we're going to just hear how that sounds. We'll turn it off here. So It'd be good if we get a polyphonic sound. I'm using the ARP Odyssey here. Let's see what we can get. Stab lead. Let's pull up the wave station. I'm just going to change my synth out here. Try and get a nice preset for us. Something with a bit of everything is what I'm looking for here. That's why I chose the wave station, because you got essentially four waves going over each other. Alright, we'll use a pad then. It's not what I want to use, but we'll just use a pad. Let's turn up the wave station a bit so we can actually hear it. Alright, let's apply chorus to it here. Here we go, chorus ensemble. Let's check it out. I can already hear that going. It's obviously heat. You can turn the rate down. Nice. Ensemble, let's check out ensemble. Wow, it's quite different. You actually got like 3 things going at once there. Obviously, I've got it really turned up just so you guys can hear it there. Vibratos just sounds really good, actually. I mean, there's a lot going on there, but it's a really nice, even though it sounds messed up, it's actually a very good sounding vibrato. Anyway, that's the chorus ensemble, and yeah, move that Korg wave station out of the way. Alright, let's move on to our next new feature or update in Ableton Live 11. So the phaser flanger has been updated as well to essentially, it combines the functionalities of the phaser and flanger in one device, which is pretty cool, as a separate effect modes, and also includes a doubler effect. So they've essentially just put two into one here. So it's got phaser mode, provides a new lusher sound with increased frequency and modulation ranges, while the previous earth and space modes have been replaced with more expressive parameters. So those of you might remember who have been using Ableton Live over the years, you had the earth and space modes in the phaser flanger. That's been removed and replaced. So you got flanger mode creates a continuously changing comb filter effect by adding a time modulated delayed signal via feedback to the input. And doubler mode creates the effect of doubled tracks, multiple stacked versions of similar recording takes by adding time modulated delayed signals to the input. And clicking the triangular toggle button in the device's title bar opens an extended view with controls for adjusting 2 LFOs, an envelope follower, and a safe bass frequency. That's pretty cool that they've added those, actually. We'll go back to our original beat here, and we'll chuck on the updated and brand new phaser flanger. Take that off so you can hear it. It's a bit slow now. I'll just pull it back up to a decent tempo. So this is phaser mode here, and it's on BPM sync. We'll go check out the flanger. These just sound really, really high quality, actually. Alright, let's have a look at doubler. Whoa. Wow, this sounds awesome. Yeah, they sound wicked. Wow, okay. Obviously you can tell I'm having too much fun with some of these updates. Let's keep moving along here, see what else has been updated. Up. Probably won't show you this next one. So this is from the Redux has been updated. No, we will show you this one because it sounds amazing. So we are going to show this. Redux has new parameters for creating a wider range of sounds from harsh distortion to digital and aliasing artifacts through to warm and fat 8-bit sounds. I do want to show you this. It sounds freaking cool. Jitter adds noise to the downsampling process. Filters can be enabled pre-post downsampling while the post-filter cutoff frequency can be adjusted. A shape parameter allows transforming the quantizer's curve, and DC shift and dry and wet controls are also available. Now let's pull up Redux. Yeah, so it's, you know, boring looking little audio effect, but it sounds awesome. Might play with that beat again because I did like that. So here we go, got this beat going again. Now check out this jitter one. This is really cool. There you go, the jitter's coming in. Wow, it's pretty cool. Anyway, you can hear definitely they've made an improvement. If you used Redux in the past, you can see and hear that they've made an improvement here with the extra functionality. All right, cool. So next is Wavetable, the audio instrument inside Ableton Live has had an update as well. So it's basically in the MIDI tab, Aftertouch has been renamed to Press. And depending on the data sent to the instrument, Press is handled either monophonically as channel aftertouch or polyphonically as poly aftertouch, or MPE Press, which is what I was talking about with all the new updates of MPE and so forth like that. So Wavetable can now be fully controlled using MPE controls. MPE modulation can be dialed in via the new MPE tab, which contains 4 columns: velocity, note, per note pitch bend, slide per note y-axis, and press aftertouch. So all MPE modulation sources now appear in the device's expanded view, and MPE text label has been added to the right corner of Wavetable's title bar. So we're not going to fully get into the MPE in this podcast today, but we can definitely show you that section there that's been updated. So if we just we'll just create a new MIDI track here, and we'll chuck in a Wavetable synth, and we can just have a quick look at that. Just want to see, one of my cameras is frozen in time there. If we pull it back on there, I don't know what happened to that, but we're just going to roll with this camera from now. All right, cool. So here we have the updated brand new Wavetable. Obviously this was previously in the previous versions of Ableton Live. So if we click on MPE here, you see this is a new page which has been added. And again, I'm not going to go into this today in today's video and podcast, but we will definitely look into more of the MPE functionalities of Ableton Live in a future video and podcast. But you can see here we've got the velocity, slide, the note PB, and the press. So that is really awesome that they're doing this, because also the Wavetable just sounds awesome. Let me just hit the track there so we can hear it. It's just a beautiful sounding synth. So obviously I'm just using a standard MIDI controller, so you can, if you are looking on the video here, you will only see that I'm affecting the amp and velocity, because that is essentially all that your original MIDI signal really only does that. And obviously velocity, sensitivity, and that sort of thing, but that's all it can really do. And I know it sounds old school now, like traditional MIDI just seems like an old school concept now, with all this new exciting possibilities with MIDI polyphonic expression. Just makes old MIDI seem old, I guess. I mean, it is pretty old. It's 40-year-old technology. Anyway, so we're not going to go into the MPE stuff on this podcast video today. So apologies if you're wanting to see that today, but I need to save that for another podcast, another video, because obviously there is a lot to cover in this update. We're not going to be able to do it all, as I said at the start of this video. Okay, cool. Another thing here on the MPE, it is now possible to use MPE and push to's pressure mode to modulate individual notes in the sampler device. So MPE modulation can be dialed in via the MIDI tab. In the MIDI tab, the pitch bend range controls has been repositioned and 2 new modulation sources have been added. So what's going to happen here with looking at the rest of these updates, it literally goes into a lot of the MPE. I'm just going to skip through these. We'll just want to go over some of the new features. So there is a new MPE controller as well, which is really cool. We are going to skip through these because there's a couple of other updates I want to talk about. Okay, so you've probably heard this already if you have been looking into this update. But this is pretty exciting for me too, because especially I track a lot of vocals, but now you can finally do comping inside Ableton Live. So essentially that means you can record a vocal, and when you record a vocal and it does another pass, if you're recording via a loop, then essentially that now is going to keep recording like a stack of tracks. And that's really exciting to have that inside Ableton Live. That really makes me happy to see that improvement there. More MPE support and editing. And there is now tempo follower. The tempo follower adapts Live's tempo to stay in time with a drummer or another rhythmic audio source. That is freaking cool. So there is a lot of updates in this, under the hood especially. Ableton Live, they've done a super overhaul. And what I can recommend for you guys that are listening on the podcast or watching on the YouTube channel here is, if you have the update already, definitely have a play. Like, there is a lot to discover and explore. And again, like I said at the start of this video, I was thinking, what is actually updated? I couldn't see it because, again, on the surface, this Ableton Live, which I've been using since version 4, just looked identical to every other version of Live that I've used. And that, again, comes down to, I believe this is a good thing, that Ableton Live, you know, hasn't changed visually, and because it is what it is. It's a hybrid hybrid synth instrument. I was going to say synth. It feels like an instrument now. It really does, with the improved CPU usage and the ability to just sort of get around so quickly and move and create so quickly. It really feels like it's like this hybrid cross between DAW, recorder and instrument. It's absolutely phenomenal. But we will have to save some of these extra updates here for another podcast and video. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw today. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for joining me. And we did have a struggle on one of the cameras. Let's see if it's still frozen. It's pretty funny. Yeah, there, it's all gone, guys. I don't know what happened to that camera there, but I am essentially frozen in time, and I don't look that happy in that. I don't know what happened there. I'm just like super sad. Anyway, that's cool, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're listening on the podcast, be sure to leave me a 5-star review if you've been listening on the podcast. I know I've got quite a few listeners now on the podcast, so really appreciate watching the YouTube and listening to the podcast. Please leave me a review on the podcast. I need more reviews, so I'm going to leave this here. And with that, guys, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for joining me, and peace out. Boom. Looks like this camera's frozen too. I don't know what's going on there, but thank you so much, guys. Peace out. Boom.